Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tutor Time. I'll be your host or your tutor for today, Miss Allen. Today, we're going to be going over adding and subtracting fractions with different denominators. This is something that scholars struggle with, especially if they do not know their multiplication facts. So please remember that learning your multiplication facts in Common Core is a third grade level skill. So that's something that teachers expect for your scholars to know when they enter the fourth grade. And if they don't, they're going to struggle with mathematic equations such as this. Before we get started, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. And let's get into it. So, normally, your math problem or equation would be written horizontally or left to right. One of the first steps that I would tell scholars to do is to rewrite the problem 3/4 plus 1/2 and write it vertically. It'll make it so much easier. What we need to do is we need to find the LCD or the least common denominator. And in order to find the least or the smallest common denominator between the two, we're going to do what I like to call factor trees. So we're going to start off with 4. I'm going to draw like a little T chart. I'm going to put the number 4 here and a multiplication symbol there. And I'm going to start with 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. And 3 times 4 is 12. I'm going to do the same factor tree for 1/2. So because my denominator is 2, I'm going to make my factor tree with 2. And 1 times 2 is 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. And we can pause right here because as soon as you see where you have the same answer, that's going to become your least common denominator. And so we're going to take the number 4 and we're going to put it into our equation. So we're going to take 3/4, we're going to put an equal sign, we're going to draw a little short line, kind of medium line, another equal sign, and the denominator 4. And we're going to do the same thing for 1/2 because now both of our fractions, when we finish this, are both going to have the same denominator. And that will make it so much easier for you to add or subtract. So we're going to put 3/4 again on the line, and I'm going to put a multiplication. And so since our denominator is already solved, 4 times what equals 4? That's right, scholars, 1. And your rule with fractions is anything that you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. And anything that you do to the top, you have to do it to the bottom. So if I'm going to multiply the denominator by 1, I need to multiply the numerator by 1. And what's 3 times 1? 3. So my 3/4 is going to stay the same. I'm going to move down here to my 1/2, put in my multiplication symbols. Now I'm going to look. 2 times what equals 4? That's right, 2. So if I do it to the top, I got to do it to the bottom. And if I do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the top. So since I multiplied the denominator by 2, I have to multiply the numerator by 2. And 1 times 2 is 2. So now I have 3/4 and 2/4. And now I can add these two together. So I'll change my equation back to 3/4 plus 2/4 equals what? Now remember from our other lessons, when we're adding two denominators that have the same number, our denominator stays the same, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So 3/4 plus 1/2 is equal to 5/4. And I can write that equation at the top. So there we go. And so also, if you're looking here, I'm going to circle it with a different pen so you can see 1/2 is also equal to or equivalent to 2/4. So that's all we're doing. We're just finding an equivalent fraction that to 1/2 that has the same denominator as the number 4. And that makes it easier to add or subtract. If we were going to subtract, we would just say 3/4 minus 2/4 would equal 1/4. Very good, scholars. So let's do one more problem. Let's make it a little bit more difficult. So let's try, here's our number 2. And we're going to try 1/4 plus 7/8. I'm going to move this up so you can see a little bit better. So we have 1/4 and 7/8. I'm going to make my little T-chart starting with the 8. I always like to start with the largest number because for those scholars that know their multiplication facts, they can kind of already figure out what our least common denominator is going to be. And if you've already figured that out, please move on ahead and try to solve the problem on your own and see if you come up with the same answer that I come up with. So here we go. 1 times 8 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. Now I'm going to put my 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Guess what, scholars? We have a match. I have an 8 here and an 8 there. So that's going to become our least common denominator. I'm going to set our problem up at the top by putting in my equal signs. I'm going to start with, and both of our denominators are now 8. So I could say 7/8. 8 times what equals 8? That's right, scholars, 1. And if you do it to the top, you got to do it to the bottom. If you do it to the bottom, you have to do it to the top. So since I multiplied the 8 by 1, I have to multiply the 7 times 1. And 7 times 1 is 7. I'll do the same up here. 4 times what equals 8? That's right, scholars. You guys are so smart. 2. And what's the rule? If you do it to the top, you have to do it to the bottom. If you do it to the bottom, you have to do it to the top. So I'm going to take this 2 and multiply my numerator by 2. And 1 times 2 is, that's right, 2. And so now I have 2/8 plus 7/8 equals what? That's right, you guys. You are so smart. 9/8. And what kind of fraction is both 5/4 and 9/8 from our other video? That's right. They're improper fractions. And so if you wanted to take it to the next step, what you can do is you can change this improper fraction into a mixed number. So let me write our original equation at the top so we can see our equivalent fraction, because 1/4 plus 7/8 equals 9/8. And guess what? 1/4 is equal to or equivalent to 2/8. They're the same. They just have different denominators. So I'm going to bring out my green pen and I'm just going to change 9/8 into a equivalent fraction. So, I'm sorry, not into an equivalent fraction. Thank you for correcting me, scholars. A mixed number. So, I'm going to change my improper fraction into a mixed number. And I'm going to do that by using what mathematical operation? That's right, scholars. Division. So, I'm going to make my little house. My number 9 goes on the inside, 8 goes on the outside. I'm going to ask myself, How many times can 8 go into 9 without going over? 1. 8 times 1 is 8. When I subtract, I'm left with 1. And now 9/8 is going to be equal to 1 and 1/8. It's just that easy. Very good, scholars. Very good. So that was a really, really quick lesson. I hope that this helps you. Please don't forget to subscribe and like and comment. And I will see you later for another tutorial. You guys continue to stay safe and have a good day. Bye.